Nutter. How did you get that nickname, Nutter?
Well, Brad Wood can tell you all about that because he's the one that gave it to me when I was playing Colts at Subiaco, so I'll leave that to Woody.
Tell us about your time as one of 9 that played in 3 premierships. Tell us about the evolution to East Perth and what it meant to you. You're a star wingman, and of course, as you're given a job by Tony, for most part, you excelled. But tell us about your journey with the Royals.
Well, it's sort of, my dad was always an East Perth supporter, so growing up, followed East Perth, but was zoned to Subiaco. Didn't quite make it there, but I was at North Beach and was playing all right there, but it was actually Gary Martin, who's here today. He was the one that sort of said, well, you should go and have a go at East Perth, and so I did that and got down to training, and Barney didn't ever know who I was and what my name was when I actually played one of the pre-season competition, because I was known as Nutter, but he's going, who's this Grant Holman playing? It's just only knew he was that. Like, that's how it sort of eventuated. Didn't get a run until I think the 13th or 11th game of the midway through the year anyway. And I remember the second game in is that I errant handball and I got pulled off, and that was the first game we'd lost, and I was up against West Perth, and Boogie's on the phone to me, no, you lost the game for us. And I knew at that time, after the game, where all the players got around and were basically telling him to go forth and multiply, that we thought the group sort of, I don't know whether he did it as a bit of a test, but it was, you could see there was a bit of feeling there, and you sort of thought that we were on the track to do something pretty special.
Nice story. Brent, now, Craig Wolfe took over Chatty as the game's record holder here at East Perth. He said, I don't know if you've seen the quote, he rated you as probably the best player in his time to pull in an East Perth jumper. When someone says something like that, how do you respond?
Too many head knocks. Wolfie, obviously that's a great, thought from him. Obviously watching him play a lot of football beside him out there, he was an inspiration to me as well. So, obviously we shop at the same hairdresser now, so we look after each other.
Staying on this side of the stage, you played almost a decade at East Perth. You came here after, I think, stints at St Kilda and Geelong, and after, I think, the 2000 AFL season, you came here to East Perth. Tell us how you got here and how you were maybe spotted on the East Perth radar.
Well, a little bloke by the name of Brad Ward received a phone call from him one afternoon, and he said, mate, we need to get you on the plane, we'll fly over for a weekend. And he took me out one night. I think we ended up at the Hippie Club, and that's history, mate. That's how I ended up here. And look, I spent the best 10 years of my life here, and finally getting back here and seeing so many faces, familiar faces, and great people, it really feels like I'm home.
Tony?
One of the regrets I had was I wanted to play Wolfie in the final series, and there were 2 young up and coming players, Craig Wolfe and Craig Clancy. Craig was fortunate enough to play in the O2. I was just reminded by a confidant of mine that was on the match committee that particular year about what I did with Wolfie. Wolfie played a couple of games towards the end of the year and acquitted himself quite well. He was only a kid, and called him in, did his review and said, you went quite well, etc, etc. And he said, look, I can't play next week. And I said, why not? He said, I'm going to Adelaide. He said, I'm going to my girlfriend's mum's birthday party. And that was the end of Wolfie's career for that year, because I just didn't think he was tough enough. But just goes to show you how wrong you can be when the guy's now the club record holder for games played, and I reckon he played half of them with broken ribs. Absolutely outstanding career.
Good on you, Tony. A couple of final questions before we break for our lunch. Craig, you actually were connected with Jeremy when he was coaching in Victoria, correct? You worked together over there.
Yeah, so I keep on reminding Barney, we played 5 years together as players and we won 5 flags. So I just sort of remind him that without me, he wouldn't have any. But no, we also went on to coach together, and so it was, Barney back then is probably mellowed out a bit now. I don't know. We'll see today whether he's mellow or not, or whether he's still got a bit of that energy. but it was really good fun. Like we coached together in a local competition over there, and then also coached with Chopper Lovell at Sandringham in the VFL, and so that was a lot of fun, a lot of East Perth connection there. We couldn't necessarily get the job done in terms of premiership success over there, but it's good fun, really good fun.
Now, coaches need to make hard decisions. This is the final call on you. Now, Andrew Waller could have been the 10th East Perth player to play 3 premierships. But on that occasion, the last minute, he was pulled out. I think Sean Baxter came in. Looking back on that moment, and we're celebrating 9 individuals that have now got 3 East Perth premierships. Andrew Waller could have had 3. How did that sit with you?
I made sure I've had a good look around that Andrew's not here today, unfortunately. By gee, look, we can all rave on us coaches and say we've never seen anyone tougher. The 2 previous grand finals this bloke played in, and every game he played in, I've never ever seen a player more committed, more courageous than what Walls was. Unfortunately, I just felt halfway through that 2002 season, he was starting to struggle a bit, and there was, every reason for him to do that because of the way he played his footy. It looked like his body was starting to catch up with him, and I was really wrestling with making the decision. We'd recruited a fella called Sean Baxter, who won probably one of the greatest battles in his life in beating cancer, and not that had anything to do with it, making the decision. We finally, I can remember again, the same bloke reminded me, knowing I was coming up on stage today, I called him in on the match committee on grand final morning, and I kept them for an hour and a half making this final decision on Walls, on whether we'd go with him or not, and in the end I made the decision not to go with him. The irony of the story is that Sean Baxter we selected him, played full back. And as it turned out, he lined up on Mark Seavey out of the goal square. It was amazing. It's worthwhile looking at the vision that Sean Baxter ran from the goal square up into our goal square, took an absolute screamer, kicked the first goal for us from full back. And I thought, maybe I've justified my decision. But since then, I've had several conversations and quite a few beers with Walls, and he still curses me to this day, and that's why I was a bit concerned about him, is that through that cause he then went on and joined the SAS, and he did a couple of tours of Afghanistan. Rumour has it that he killed Bin Laden, so I'm shooting myself.
Good on your ball. All right, one word, just one word. Describe him in one word.
Jeopardy.
And Brent, one word for your coach.
The master.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause. Grant Holman, Brent Cowell, and